my name is Melodye, and I'm here to share with you my love of helping music help you with your life. Whether it's being able to learn something better, whether it's being able to be motivated to go exercise, or it's just being able to calm your body down and relax. So let's get started. The introduction. There have been many studies on how music can be effective in your life. And I just want to give you some of those statistics to get started. And then you can kind of start seeing how other people are using things and maybe be creative and figure out how you can fit those in to your life by the time we get done with the class. So everybody's heard about Dr. Masaru Emoto, I think. He's the scientist who started studying the effects of voice, of words, either written or in sound, and also music on water. And so he would, like in a classroom, he'd have the kids say love to a beaker of water and say, I hate you to the other one. And they could see what happened to those two beakers over a month of every kid in the classroom going, I love you, I hate you. And it was amazing what was going on with that. So, and if we understand that the body, of course, is a lot water, body is composed of 100 trillion cells, each slightly different, and each emits a slightly different sound. That creates a symphony. That creates your music. And this is like statistics from many years ago. And just about 2 weeks ago, I saw a study that said that they were studying DNA cells. Everybody's got DNA, right? And everybody's is just a little bit different. And every one of those cells emits its own frequency, which means that your music, like I have always said, is unique in the universe. And at the very end of this, I want to be playing music for whoever's watching and for you and you. Play that music so you can feel some of those frequencies of your music. So then they talked about the origin of a disease. It's a disturbance in the frequency of each cell. So being really scientific here, right? The origin of any disease is a disturbance in the frequency of each cell. A healthy body is beauty, harmonious, creates a wonderful symphony. An unhealthy body is totally discordant, and that's the kind of music it's creating. And to restore a distorted sound to its normal state, you could shift the phase of its sine wave, you know, those wiggly things, by 90 degrees, and it cancels out the sound. So this is the way, and we've all seen recently that medicine is using frequency to break up cancer cells. They are finally getting into some of, more practical uses of this information that I had 30 years ago. It's really fun what they're doing. Stress in your world distorts your cell vibrations. So of course, we don't want to be stressed out, but now we know that stressing yourself out is going to be affecting every cell in your body, which is not what we want. So choosing the music that is going to be on in your background or what you happen to be listening to, even if you're consciously not listening to it or consciously not listening to it, it still affects you because it's in your sound environment. So everything in your sound environment is affecting every cell in your body. And I will be repeating that a few times during the course of this class. Every cell in your body is affected by every sound you hear. So it's really important to know what kind of sound environment you got around you, that you want a good one, because it's doing it to you whether you're asleep or not. Okay, so I have lots of stories to tell. So I was in the hospital playing one time and came into this room, and the lady was sitting in this kind of dentist chair with her arms up on this things and her legs sticking out, and she was like in a really deep sleep, or even wasn't quite a coma, but it was a really deep sleep. I think they drugged her because she wasn't supposed to be moving. And the physical therapist comes in, and I was just sitting there with my little harp, kind of like 3 feet from the end of this chair, and her feet sticking out, just playing some music. And the physical therapist came in there and started messing with her and said, I need to do a treatment. And I said, do you want me to leave? And she said, no, that's fine. You just stay there and keep playing. That's fine. And so she started taking the lady's arm, she picked it up and she went like this. I was rotating the whole thing, and the lady just laid there like she was dead, right? Then she did her leg. And then she did another arm. Then she did another leg. It was like all over the place. And then she looks at me and she says, this is interesting. She usually doesn't get this range of movement. It's got to be the harp. It's the only thing that's changed since, she was doing this to her. So that was kind of fun to find out that music is going to be affecting you, whether you're awake or you're asleep or whatever your state is, it's still affecting every cell in your body. Really cool to think about, because then, like, we're going to be talking about putting music on before you go to sleep. You put on like 432 hertz sleep music. You can find it on YouTube. Yeah. Put that on when you're going to sleep and kind of set it low so it's not like really noisy. And those things, heck, go for 8 or 9 hours. You can have that running on your body all night and start healing it, calming it down, because that's a really good calming one. We're going to practice, do one later that's not quite so calming. That's more fun. Fun ones are fun too. Okay, so the next thing on my thing is practical music through the ages. There you go. Yep, it's on there. Number 2. So all the way through centuries, from Native Americans in Africa or America or whatnot, who knows what, everybody's got their music tradition. And they had healing ceremonies, they had marriage ceremonies, they had birthing ceremonies. In fact, some tribe in Africa has a song that is played that the musician of the tribe can feel the music of the child and plays that song for that child and at important milestones in that child's life, like when they become a young man or a young woman. That song is played for them, so they know what their music sounds like. And when they die, then they play it, and it is never played again. So they understand the importance of music, but it's been used for many, many, many things. New York City, when the First and Second World Wars started, they had marching through the streets, and all the military people would be marching, and all the guys would get in there because they were playing these nice, rhythmic, bouncy tunes about come and join us, and you get everybody breathing. We'll get into that more about what your body does. You get everybody breathing on the same heartbeat. They start getting unified along the same thought lines and the same frequency. And so these guys got all excited and they joined up and they went out and got killed, right? Yeah, that's what we can do. That's what music can do for you, the not so fun things. So in churches, music was important because they wanted people to be thinking along specific lines and be in tune with each other and with what the people were doing up in front. Then you get into lullabies, of course. Lullabies are so much fun, but different countries, it's so much. I went through a phase where I was studying lullabies of different countries, and I'd go to different countries and see what lullabies I could find, and it was really interesting. Besides usually having a steady flowing beat, which is cool, it was interesting to see what variations there were and what words they put with it. For instance, I will never say rockabye baby on a treetop, because we know what happens to the baby. Not good. I'm not even putting that in that kid's consciousness, so I will not play that song. You got to be careful of the words we put to things, but the song is great. Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is really cool, though. I played that at various speeds in hospitals where I get to play with the kids. So that is really fun to be able to go in the hospital and to help the babies fall asleep. I would walk in the room and the nurse would be there and oh, it's so good you came today. And I'd say, okay, do you want something fast or do you want something slow? And you can play practically anything fast or slow. You just put more bounce into it, right? But there's some songs that are easier to play when they're slow. And they would let me know whether the baby was supposed to be put to sleep or baby was supposed to be, a little, get a little more stimulus there. They started putting those little bitty laptop things with baby iTunes or something in there. That's okay, but that's not the music that particular kid might need at that particular time. It's just something to be there, and the kids might get interested or might not, but better than nothing, maybe. But when I would be playing for them, I could literally put them to sleep and calm them down. And even, if I start telling story twice, let me know. There was one baby at the hospital, the Children's Hospital in Minneapolis, whose esophagus was totally grown when it was born. And so they were trying to take like skin off the legs or something and attach it as an esophagus inside so that this kid could actually eat right. Yeah. And so I'd go in there and sometimes the kid would be awake. And when we did that, the nurse put his feet on top of the sound box right here. And when I'd run my fingers like this, and he'd giggle and he'd take his feet off and then he'd put them back on and we'd do it again because he could feel the vibrations through his feet. It was really fun. And so that was a good stimulus for him, tactile stimulus for him. In that stage, the next time I'd come in, he'd be in a really drug-induced deep state so that he did not move because they did not want all that stuff that they're trying to build inside after a surgery to get, wiggled in any way. And so they could still tell on the monitors that it was calming him down when I would be playing something nice and calm and soothing because it affects you whether you're asleep or not. Drug-induced sleep or not. Okay. It can also be used in a bad for bad things. Bagpipes. Bagpipes were originally created because they sounded like banshees screaming over the hills. And I love Scottish bagpipes. I go to the Scottish Fair every year I possibly can. But that's what they sound like, especially if they're not like playing any particular tune. And they were there to scare the people off who were coming at them. But they've also got, it's called LRAD, long range acoustic devices the military has, and they can blast sound at a bunch of people and it will basically knock your eardrums out practically. And you get disoriented because there's too much sound and you start throwing up and you can't fight. So that's what the military is used sometimes for, not so gentle kind of thing. And combat vehicle noises, they would send out on big speakers the sound of lots of heavy duty combat vehicles coming at them. So it sounded like it was a lot more than there actually were. They can be used for all sorts of interesting things. Okay, so since we are over 60% water, we have a really good kind of surface or element to use in creating powerful musical effects. And I had the pictures of Masaru Emoto, who, I didn't talk about that yet, did I? Masaru Emoto is a Japanese scientist. I happened to meet him in Santa Fe when he came and talked there. It was interesting. Didn't know English very well, but he was trying. And he created, what he did was he took, talked about the kids in the classroom saying words to beakers of water. He also, in scientific experiments, he would, because then he could limit it, not just any bunch of kids coming up and saying stuff, right? He would tape a word, a good word like love or kindness or whatever, he wanted to try on a beaker of water. And then on another beaker of water, put hate or evil or something, Satan, all sorts of interesting things he tried. And left it on there for a certain amount of time. Just left it on the beaker. And when what they did was they'd freeze it and then they'd slice it. And what they ended up with is these incredible pictures of like beautiful snowflakes. Don't know, can I put it closer? Beautiful snowflakes. like this of those words, of what happened when they sliced it. And you get every single one of these, it looks like a snowflake is exquisite and tiny and perfect. And then they showed what happens when you do heavy metal, played heavy metal music for the beaker of water, and then froze it and sliced it up. And this is like practically shapeless, formless, nothing. So it's interesting what happens when sound is hit with when water, body water or water period is hit with music. This one is this one down here, You Fool. Looks like Swiss cheese and totally deformed. So that one is another really interesting one. But the rest of the whole book is full of all of these wonderful snowflakey shapes of things that happen when you use beautiful words with them. So think about when you're talking to yourself, what happens? If you swear at yourself, you know what it's going to look like. When you say, I understand, I love you, you tried. It's really important to be talking nice to ourselves and to anybody else, of course, too. But particularly to ourselves, because we can, like, something goes wrong and you start banging pots and pans around or God knows what, throwing things, and you start swearing, and that's affecting every cell in your body. It's not only hearing it, but it's also feeling it, which is going to be doing something to it too. So important. The sound in our environment. It's important to know what you got going. Okay, so where are we? Oh, another thing that systems do, body systems do, is they oscillate. You get two frequencies at the same time. You know about women and their periods. In tribal lodges, all the women would be having their period at the same time because they get synchronized with each other. That's a pendulum effect. You get two pendulums going and these in the same area, and they start going together because they actually start oscillating. And so we do that too with anybody in our frequency. If you have a significant other, you start most probably being on the same frequency as they are, or staying there a lot of the time, because otherwise you're going to be clashing, and that doesn't work very well. So you can tell. So auto entrainment, what happens with every sound you hear that's affecting every cell in your body is it's in training with it. Your body's in training with that frequency and that sound system, whether you're consciously listening or not. It affects your respiration, so your breathing. It affects your heartbeat, affects your pulse rate, affects brain waves, blood pressure, and muscle tension. That's like major stuff in your body, not just one little thing. It's like major stuff all over your body. So another time when I was in the hospital, I was sitting there playing. There was a baby bassinet, one of those plastic thingies that they stick them in, little tiny babies, like about this height. So a baby was there, and I was sitting like right at the end. Had my little harp on my lap. Nurse was over here, and she was doing stuff to the baby, and then she went over to her computer station, and it was doing stuff, and she said out loud, "Baby's blood pressure is going down. I think I'm going to go check with the doctor." And so she took off, and I just kept on playing. And doctor comes back about 2 minutes later, and takes a look at the baby, looks at the computer, and checked things out a little bit. And he was standing like right there, and I checking on the baby. And I looked up and I said, "Do you want me to stop playing?" He goes, "Oh no, keep going." Because I was helping the baby lower the baby's blood pressure. And when the babies are in the hospital, they need to be quiet and calm, because that's how they're going to heal better. If they start screaming bloody murder, they're using up all their energy to complain, and it's not doing any good anyway, because they're doing what they can for the baby, but it's not using it for healing. So they're trying to get the baby to calm down, lower its blood pressure so that the body can work like it's supposed to work, and calmly get well, and they'll do whatever they need to help it, right? Yeah. There's another story I have to think of about that too. Oh yeah, I was playing every night, once a week after school. I was a teacher for 13 years, and I'd go down there after school, so about 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and play in the neonatal intensive care unit. It wasn't the highest level, but it was the next highest. And so they had a lot of babies in there, and I'd come in there and play it. It was really fun because I'd be sitting there playing on my little harp and for an hour, and then I get done, and they take the harp and I put it on the floor, and the minute I set it quietly on the floor, you hear this wing. And the nurse finally told me what was going on, and she said the babies are asleep, and then when they get hungry, they wake up, but they're listening to the music. They realize that the music's going on, so they're listening to the music as long as the music's going. And as soon as the music stops, which it does when I quit, they realize that they're hungry and they want to be fed. So you get all this all of a sudden. So it was helping them calm down. Another good story was I was in the same hospital as Bassinet, like right there, and the nurse was working on this baby. It was like a day old, I think. And I was just playing normal, gentle music like I play, and the baby, she said the baby is looking around all over the place, trying to find this music. Knows they can hear it, but don't know where it's coming from, and was trying to track that music. And it's only a day old. It affects everybody from like inside, if you're pregnant, inside to forever outside. Oh, another story about babies and pregnancies. This couple, she was very pregnant, and she was playing the whole pregnancy. She was playing a certain, I forgot the name of the guy, but it was new age back then, new age artist who played kind of gentle songs, and would like put the monitor or the thingy right near enough to her tummy for the baby to actually hear it, and the baby would automatically calm down and go to sleep. And so mom would do this frequently, right? And they found out this guy was coming into town for a concert, and they wanted to go to the concert. And the baby had been born, just been born. So they're taking a pretty new baby to the concert. And they said, they got there, and the usher didn't want to let him in. The baby's going to scream and ruin the concert. And they said, no, baby won't do that. And the baby was perfectly quiet, enjoying the music the whole concert. Really cool. It recognized the music. Oh, another weird one. Sorry, I have so many stories. Okay, another one, baby in the tummy. This mom played the cello, and she was pregnant, so the cello sits right there, right? And baby was hearing the whole music the whole time. And they had played this, they got this new song, and it was this movement of God knows what, classical music. And the baby was hearing mom practice the whole time, and the rest of the orchestra too, right? And this baby got born, grew up to be an orchestral conductor, and they decided to play this particular piece of music, and he knew it totally before he even looked at it, because he had memorized it as a baby. It was incredible. Okay, we need to get going. We got lots of stuff to do. Okay. So we did the oscillating systems. We talked about respiration, heartbeat, pulse rate, brain waves, blood pressure, and muscle tension. And all these stories I've been talking about are doing that. So what happens if you play obnoxious music? Let's see what happens. I'm only going to do the obnoxious music for 60 seconds, okay? Because I don't want to like totally screw up your bodies. And then I'll play my harp a little bit to hopefully help. That would be the purpose. Okay. So let me hopefully get this loud enough. Should I come over here? So we can turn it. Okay, so I would like you to put your stuff down, take a deep breath, and let it go. And see what happens to your body when you hear this music for 60 seconds. See if you feel anything in particular, and where you might feel it, and how it's going from this kind of calm state you're in at the moment. Okay. Okay, so what did you feel?
felt like my heartbeat got faster and felt angsty.
Get at a faster beat. Yeah, respiration rate, think that might have increased? Mm-hmm, okay. Yeah, well, the good part is, I'm gonna be playing, I think I'm gonna hear this.
I hope so. I'm sure they will.
Hang on here so it doesn't fall off my lap. So I'm gonna play for a few minutes, see if, get everybody back into a good state. So take a deep breath. Let out any tension. Take another one, see if you got any shoulders that are kind of crunchy, maybe, or your neck. And just kind of relax everything and feel like you're lying in a puddle of sand on a nice warm beach and just kind of blobbing out. Well, how are you feeling now? Where did you feel that?
It turned right back down to calm.
Can you feel your like heartbeat slowing down?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take very much. That was only what, a couple minutes maybe? So it doesn't take very much to get that down there. Like I said, you can put it on in background noise, background music. So let's get practical here. So you're hearing sound all over you. We're hearing something thumping. Is that from the exercise place next door? Yeah, we're hearing this, consciously or not, whether it's, whether you're paying attention to that or not, it's in your auric field. And auric is AURIC. Yeah, okay. So think about the sounds you hear during your day. I don't know if you're working or you've got a pretty quiet environment. You can put on whatever kind of music you want, which is cool. But you probably listen to those guys sometimes too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so no matter where you are, you might be getting street noise, you might be getting kids screaming, or whatever the heck it is. It's always good to be conscious of what that noise is because it's doing something to your body, and you want to be conscious of what that is so that you can change that if you need to. I moved to Santa Fe, and sometime in there, they were doing, you know, those rat-a-tat things when they're breaking up the concrete on the streets, they were doing that like outside the building, like 100 feet away. And I'd put my head down on the pillow and that's all I could hear. I mean, it's bad enough you know, just running around, but when I put my head on the pillow, it was connecting to somehow the ground that it was coming through. And it was like enough to drive you crazy. And whatever it was that was the issue wasn't going to go away for 3 days because they had to order the part from God knows where in the country and get it to Santa Fe, which always takes an extra day or 2 or 3. So it was like, how am I going to get any sleep? I can't put your head on the pillow. And I finally realized that I was going to have to counteract it with some really, really, really good calm music, which I also found out because of the same kind of issue. When you go and get a tooth drilled, they used to spend a whole lot longer drilling it, which I hated. And now just noise just went right through my body. So I would take headphones or something, or a cassette recorder or something, anything I could take, and put on earphones so that I could have something else going in my ears. And I thought it would be really good to put something quiet and gentle to counteract the drilling noise. Did not work. So you have to try things out. I've given you lots of suggestions here, but you have to try things out because for you, it might be different. I don't know if this would be the thing for anybody, but what worked for me was putting on something bouncier. Just a little, not super bouncy, not heavy metal, not anything wild, crazy. It was just something with a better steady beat, because you always want a steady beat unless you want to get crazy. And that's okay too, but don't stay there forever. Your body doesn't want to be crazy forever. Don't want a syncopated rhythm. You want something with a steady beat, and bouncy for that worked. So that's what I did. And every time I've gone to the dentist since then and know they were going to be doing some drilling, I made darn sure that I had something along that I could listen to in some form or another. So I didn't have to listen to that. But the drilling duration has it's speeded up nowadays. It's not quite as bad as it was, and it's not quite as they're grinding through every bone in your body kind of sound. But either way, it's like that. If anything happens, like the noise in whatever the thing was going outside my apartment building, or this or whatever the noise would be, you try to set a quieter noise. If you've got a bunch of kids like daycare centers, it would be super good if they would have music constantly going in the background that is maybe gently bouncy if they're active, or really quiet if they're trying to sleep, because the kids are their whole body is going to attune with this music, and it'll help them do what the teachers want to help them do: calm down, sleep, stay focused. This is really good for high school kids who have to study. Instead of putting on heavy metal rock music, they've done studies that show that classical music can actually help kids remember things better. And there's all sorts of studies about helping people learn things they have to memorize, which hopefully is not going to have to be the issue anymore in the future. But if you have to memorize something, setting it to music, like we learned the ABC song, for heaven's sakes. Every kid learns that. That's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah, it's pretty much the same other languages too. You get the kids learning a song, and it's so much easier, and it gets ingrained in the memory better because it's got the musical accompaniment that goes with it. What do you wake up with? Do you have an alarm clock?
Mozart.
Do you have music that gets you up?
Amadeus
Wake up.
Mozart.
All right. That's good. Yes, you need to be super conscious about how you're waking up, because that starts your day. I used to have an alarm clock, especially when I lived in Germany, and it was one of those ring dingers, and so it'd go off like ring, and you'd like hit the ceiling, because it was so startling and so strident. And I didn't have much choice because it's the only one they had back then. Now we have a lot of other choices. You could set it for lullabies that wake you up. I would start waking up about 2 minutes before that thing went off because I hated it so much. But I had to get up and go to school, so I had to set an alarm because I didn't want to miss getting to school on time. So it's interesting how our bodies adjust to to having to listen to nasty sounds. You have AC things going, you've got fans, you've got HVAC systems, you've got other people's telephone conversations. It's good to be, wherever you go, it's good to know what sound in the environment is affecting you. I've been in restaurants where they have music going, and if it's lunchtime, they put on fast music because they want you to eat and get out of there so they can get more people in there, right? If it's a more elegant dinner place at night, they might be putting on kind of flowy, nice music that you will eat more elegantly with and, and enjoy it. And they're not trying to get you out of there because they know they're not going to have a big turnover rate supper time, maybe one or two, right? So it's really interesting. And I was in one restaurant that I forgot what it was, but they had some horrific music on, and I asked them if they could turn it off because it was so bad. I have sensitive ears, and at weird times, really weird times, it hits me, and I can't deal. It's like I ate fast and got out of there, which is what they wanted you to do, right? But it wasn't conducive to being able to hang out with friends I didn't get to see very often. So, how you wake up, your environment at work, your environment at home, TV, radio, kids, lawnmowers, dishwasher, washing machine, air conditioner, and other people's music. Headphones are really good for TVs, for other people's music. Not having to listening to what they want to be listening to is really cool. And I think we do that nowadays with headphones more often. But then, yeah, you also need communication time. It's another whole thing. Exercise, gym. I have a whole sheet in here on the handouts about exercising for music. If you're the kind of person who really, really, really doesn't like to go exercising, that's when people have their headphones on when they're exercising because they find some music that gives them a good steady beat and keeps them going and they can kind of get in the tune of it. Back when we didn't have headphones, you just had to put up with whatever was in their environment. TV's going to God knows what. But now you get to choose what kind of music you want affecting your body at what time. And yes, having music going when you're exercising or going for a walk. Nature sounds are the absolute best to be listening to if you're in some place, but if you're in a neighborhood with noisy cars or kids or God knows what, then you might want to be putting on some other music that you like listening to. And then you can come home in a really good mood because you're listening to cool music you like, as opposed to, kids having an argument out on the middle of the street or God knows what. So that's part of your environment that you could be aware of 24/7. What noises, quote unquote, are in your environment, and are they noises that you think are helpful to your body at that moment or not? And if they're not, change it. We got a lot of ways to do that nowadays. Yeah, we talked about going out, and before you go to bed, it's a really, really good idea to set some kind of music that's going to calm you down.